Why in the world are so many men feminine, and why are so many women masculine? Let's talk about it. Before I get too deep in this particular topic, I do ask for your grace. Some subjects are a little bit more emotional for people, and they can get a little bit more riled up because they might not want to accept the information because it hits an emotional place within their heart and within their mind. And I'm just encouraging you to see beyond it, because what we want to do is we want to solve these problems of our society. We don't want to continue to stay in the problem. There is a thought where you don't help people. You just really kind of give them some quick ideas and you allow them to do what they will. And then there's another level of thought that says, hey, why don't you actually give people the solutions, even if they hurt, so that they can actually fix things. And like I say, through this series, through this feminine masculine series, we're going to talk a lot about how you can fix things. But I want you to understand where it's coming from, so that you can enlighten your mind and you can enlighten those around you, so that you won't make the same mistakes as generations past. Because what we're dealing with right here is, in the Christian community, we will call this a generational curse. And for many people like African Americans that might be watching, this does go all the way back to slavery. However, it exists in all races, in all cultures, and unfortunately, it is growing like wildfire. So let's go back to where it started. It basically starts in two places. Like I said, for African Americans, it actually starts back in slavery. And for everybody else, it starts in a place called pain. See, when we're in pain or we're in a bad situation, many times we make bad decisions because we think that we're protecting. We think that we're helping, but in a lot of ways, we're not. It's almost like if you broke your arm, and instead of going to a doctor where they're going to reset the bone and they're going to probably hurt a lot more for a small amount of time before they put that cast on it, you say, I don't want that little extra pain. I'm just going to bandage it myself. And the human body is really weird, and it will do its best to fix itself, even if no doctor ever touches you. So now when you've tried to fix your arm, your hand ends up way down here for the rest of your life because you've never truly gotten it set. Because there's pain in that setting. There's pain that happens in that motion. And if you're not ready for that extra bout of pain, especially when you're already going through pain, it can become even worse problem later on. So this all begins with wayward men. A man comes into a woman's life, he impregnates her, and she has a child. And the woman, because the man was wayward, he's no longer with her. He's no longer protecting and providing for her. Again, like if you think about African Americans in slavery, men could not protect and provide. It was impossible because they literally had no power within that system. However, even today, when you have a wayward man, what does he do? He removes himself. And by removing himself, he has created a scenario where the woman is not being protected and she's not being provided for. And then there's no leadership. And so in that moment, in that instant, the woman has to start making decisions. She has to make decisions to protect herself, to protect her child, and to actually move in a way that will work for her in the future. So what does she do? She immediately takes the pain that's within her. And unfortunately, not always, but many times, she impresses that upon her daughter. She'll say things like, don't ever let a man do this to you. Don't ever let a man walk away from you. Don't ever be put in a situation where a man can hurt you. She builds up this tough heart within the little girl before the little girl has actually experienced anything. Because remember, that was mama's experience. That's not necessarily the young daughter's experience. Even when you start to talk about wayward men, what you get many times is you get, again, a mom that is coming in because she doesn't have the dad there, or maybe she will not allow the dad to really enforce what he knows he needs to enforce in the boy in order to turn the boy into a man. Because the process of turning a boy into a man is very difficult, and it's very hard for a lot of women to watch because the boy will suffer. But that's what happens. Every single man I know that is about his business, he really can't look back at the relationship between him and his father as being this great and wonderful thing when it comes to discipline. Okay, that's the key element when it comes to discipline, because that's what we're talking about here is discipline. When a boy is between 0 and 7, okay, and he falls and he scrapes his knee, mommy comes and she says, "Oh, my baby, it's okay, it's okay. We got your knee." Okay, by the time he's 10, 11, and he goes to his dad, he's like, "Hey, I scraped my knee, I scraped my knee." Dad's like, "What you want me to do?" Okay, walk it off. You ain't dead. Get over it. That's important. That's important. We're teaching little boys not to cry. Real men, while they might cry, they can't emotionally cry. Like if you see a man and he's going through pain and you see the one tear, like in the movies, is like the one tear. You're like, that was a man. Yeah, men can cry. But when we say cry, we're not saying, and that's how men and little boys interpret. So when men are trying to tell little boys not to cry, that's exactly what they're saying. They're saying toughen up because the world is hard. And from a man's perspective, you got to be tough because you have to lead your family towards success. Many women don't understand this. They don't know that they're supposed to put that in their son, or they try to protect their son from the pains of this world. But a mom cannot protect a son from the pains of the world because he has to protect his wife one day. So while she can protect him when he's really, really young, like I said, 7, 8 years old, by the time he gets 13 or 14, she can no longer protect him. She has to teach him how to fight back the world. In essence, both of these things, they come from the education of parents. Parents slowly teach their sons to be feminine, i.e. lean on another person to take care of you, because that is one of the energies of feminine energy. And they teach their daughters, and don't wait for anybody to take care of you. Make sure you can take care of yourself, which is one of the tenets of masculine energy. And this is how we get these things reversed. At the core of it is pain. And we need to understand that's where it comes from. Men, real men, masculine men, do not abandon their children. That's actually something that comes from feminine men. Because see, feminine men don't see the responsibility that they should have for their children, because the children don't mean anything to them. Remember, the feminine man is used to somebody taking care of him. That's why we call them homosexuals, because they just wander the world. They're looking for somebody to take care of them. But the masculine man is looking to take care of somebody else. Remember, we talk about it: leadership, protection, provision. So the masculine man wants to protect. The masculine man wants to provide. The masculine man wants to lead not only his wife, but his children. We have to put all these things into perspective. Okay, all this stuff started with pain. Where do we go from here? Is we have to reverse it. We have to, just like if you're in a car, you have like, and turn around if you missed your stop. You cannot continue to go down the path that is not working. And we have to say, it's pain. It's pain that brought me here. It might have not been my pain. It might have been my mother's pain. Or it might have not been my mother's pain. It might have been my grandmother's pain. Or it might have not been her pain. It might have been my great-great-grandmother's pain. However you look at it, it was somebody's pain. And it has created a generational curse. So you don't need to walk in that curse. Free yourself of that curse. But you need to understand it and know what's going on, so that when things are happening, you won't be clueless and you can actually fight back. Anyway, let's continue in this feminine energy journey. I'll see you all in the next video. Please like and subscribe. And also, you might want to send this series to a couple of friends. I think a lot of people might really, really get a lot out of this.